समस्त जन कल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम् वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम्. Now today we start with verse 30. As I said, that this is the backbone of the third chapter. So Gurudev used to say that this also gives the secret of achievement in spirituality. So those serious seekers who are on the path must memorize this. He used to say sometimes that this verse needs to be learnt by heart. And if you understand it well, then you have really taken the bus, as he used to say, that you have already taken the bus and you will reach. So, Mai sarvani karmani sanyasya adhyatma chetasa nirashir nirmamo bhutva yudhyasva vigata jvara. Many times, in my life, I have quoted this to myself that this is how I should do this thing. Now, the translation I'm reading, renouncing all actions in me with the mind centered on the self, free from hope and egoism, free from mental fever, do you fight. See, this Mai Sarvani Karmani. That means surrender all actions to me. Now, what does that mean? People say, this is very strange. Karne wale hum, mehnat hamari, and surrender to the Lord. Why? See, this is the whole thing. The intricacy over here is that you think that you do. That thought you have to surrender. You do not have to surrender the work. You do not have to surrender the doing. You have to surrender the doer. Because seriously, you are not the doer. You are not the doer. The doer is him alone. What have you done and what can you do? You are just a lump of flesh, bones, fat, fecal matter, urine, and all this is wrapped up in skin. That is all. And no matter how much you clean it, it gets dirty every day, isn't it? Back again. Anything that comes out of the body is just filth. The body cannot act at all if it is not empowered by him. So then who is doing it? The fan cannot say that I move. Unless the electricity is there, the fan is a dead dodo. So when he says Maya Sarvani Karmani, he only means that understand that I am the force behind all your actions. So keep that in mind always. Understand that always. That whatever you can allow me to do, whatever you are making me do is happening. I am an instrument. Basically, remember that you are just an instrument of his. That is what it means. And then see Sanyasyadhyatma Chetasaha, which says, and centered on the self, you center yourself on the self. Give up everything else. So he says, Karmani Sanasya, renouncing with the mind centered on the self. Renouncing what? Renouncing, second line, Nirashir Nirmamo Bhutva. Two words he's combined in this first thing. Sanskrit में संधि होती है ना, तो nir asha and nir mama. Asha, all of you know, Asha is hope. And here hope means anxiety. Anxiety. Whenever you hope that something should happen, anxiety will always follow it. Hope breeds anxiety. And therefore, nirashir means without asha, nir asha. So don't expect कि ये हो जाए, वो हो जाए, वो हो जाए. Just do what you have to do and do it perfectly well. So nirashir and nirmama. This is the tricky part. Nirmama. Nirmamo bhutva. Become. Bhutva means become. The nirmamo. What is nirmamo? Nirmama. Mama means me. So when you minus yourself, only then can you do this other part. Yudhyasva vigata jvara. Jvara is fever. वैसे तो आपको मालूम jwar means fever. Now here jwar means the feverish mind. Your feverish mind. That is what jwar means. And yudhyasva vigata jvara. You fight, but without fever in your mind. As I've always said before also, cool, calculating mind. So when your mind is not excited, you will fight the best. And when he says, Mai Sarvani Karmani, when you become the representative of the Lord, when you become his ambassador, when you are doing things for him, then you have a stature. You have a divine stature which people cannot challenge really. See, the example given by Gurudev was that when an ambassador of any country represents his country abroad, he goes and presents his credentials, right, in the External Affairs Ministry or to the president or prime minister of that country. When he represents himself as a representative of his country, then he is honored. He is called His Excellency. Isn't that the term for that senior diplomat? Because he is representing his country. But if he goes as Mr. Saxena, Mr. Mathur, Mr. Sharma, then what is he? He is just himself, his little self. But he plus his country becomes huge. Similarly, when you surrender your actions to the Lord, meaning you understand that it is He who is functioning through you, whether you are giving a talk, whether you are writing, dancing, or you're a sports person, or you're a businessman, or you're a organizer, or you're a CEO of a company, or whatever you are, what action you are doing, just pray to him, keep him in your mind, and pray to him, requesting him to work through you. And you have to empty yourself so that he can work through you. So how do you empty yourself? See, you can only empty yourself by this nirashir nirmamo bhutva. These two things you have to minus from your mind and body. Nirmamo and nirashir. So understand that I don't do. If you firmly understand that it is not me working, and you firmly have no expectation of the result that what it will be, you say in your mind that I accept whatever happens. The moment you build anxiety for what will happen or not happen, or you have anxiety to do it perfectly well, that anxiety will show up in the inefficiency of your working. So these two are the secret, and you have to, nirmamo. How do you do this? Nirmamo to bada mushkil hai. That means, how do you forget yourself? No regrets of the past, and no anxiety for the future, and no excitement in the present. This is the only way that you can get by your personality and act well. See, the mind is what is me. The mind only tells you it is you, me. So how do you minus the mind? What is the mind made of? Tell me. The mind is made up of memories. This ahankar, mind is ahankar, ego, right? Now, mind is made up only of thoughts and memories of the past. You know that typical Hindi film scenario? Take that Hindi film scenario when a person forgets, something hits his head and he loses his memory. वो हिंदी फिल्मों में देखा है ना? हाँ. उसके बाद he does not recognize his wife, he does not recognize his children, he doesn't recognize his parents, he doesn't know who he is. He has forgotten his own name. So what is it? Memory gone, individuality gone. What is memory made up of? When you ask somebody what is memory made up of, it is nothing else except the past. It is nothing else except the past, all the happenings in your past, all your past thoughts, all things and situations through which you have gone. Those make up the past. And the memory of the past is your individuality, your ego. Once that is minused and the future is also minus, the intellect has dropped both. There is no individuality. So for this time being, you have got to just leave the memory completely. Completely leave the memory. See, it is like this, two people traveling in a train. Now, this is also in English literature, absurd theater, you may have heard. Now, in that, this kind of thing happens, Two people traveling in a train, one asks the other, what is your name? He gives some name. Then he says, okay, I am so and so, you're so and so. All right. Where do you live? He gives some address. Then he says, but I also live there. Then he says, okay, which floor do you live? This floor. Oh, but I also live on that same floor. Then he says, what number is your house? Your flat number? So he gives his flat number. This chap also says, oh, but I also live in the same flat. Now, this is absurd theater, right? Absurd is that neither he knows who he is, neither this one knows who he is. And they are both asking. So the people who were sitting around in that compartment, in a train, out of sheer boredom, you listen to other people's conversation that goes on. So they asked these people that neither you know where you live, neither he knows, neither you know anything about each other, and you say you live in the same house. What is this? So you know what the reply was? They said, yeah, we know it all. We are only passing time. So see, you and I are also just passing time. Neither you know where you come from, neither you know where you belong to, neither you know where you are going to, and neither you know where anybody else is coming from or going to. You are in a situation. Minus yourself from that situation and live in the situation, understanding that the Lord Himself is doing. So then the only way to do is to surrender. Mai sarvani karmani means surrender to me. Once you surrender to the Lord, it is like a small child holding the hand of a parent. And with full faith that the parent will see me through, the parent will take me where. He has complete faith in the parent, so there is no anxiety in the child's mind. There is no anxiety in the child's mind. So it is first surrender, then act. ये देखिए पहली लाइन में surrender है, next line में act है. Yuddhasva vigata jvara means without any fever in your mind, without any anxiety in your mind, act after surrendering. What do? We first act and then we surrender. We act and then we say, oh Lord, save me. Please save me from this, whatever has happened. That is not the way. So it is this, that only egocentric people do that. So without any egocentric thing. See now, the Pandav prince over here, that is Arjuna, was incapable of this kind of action, because he was a prince and he did not have any contemplativeness in him. He was a man of action. So the Lord is advising him action, and he is advising him the perfect way of acting, of how he can act uh, without any fever, and without any fret, without any anxiety. And he is building up his confidence that he must act. Now, there's a writer, Richard Bach. He says, I'll read it to you. People couldn't fly for a long time because they didn't think that it was possible. So you have to have the confidence that it will be possible with the Lord's help. And when you have that confidence that you have the power of the Lord helping you, it will take place. The people ask, how can I act without ego? There's no way to be acting without ego. The only way is drop the doership. When you drop the doership, not the doing you have to do, drop the doership, and that this is then possible. So once these blockages are cleared from your mind and intellect, you become like the flute of the Lord. The flute of the Lord, have you seen? It is hollow from inside, and it has got those 7 holes for the 7 notes. The 8th hole is from where the Lord blows. So that is like your body, right? And like when you make yourself hollow and let the Lord's breath flow through you, then beautiful music results. If there are blockages, then the notes will be discordant. They will not be beautiful at all. Even in the Bible, the Lord says, empty thyself and I shall fill thee. So the first condition to do or to act is to empty yourself. And you empty yourself and totally see the unborn future you have no control over. The past is non-existent. So when the memory of these two goes totally from your mind, you can become nirmama. Nirmama nahankaro. So here it is, and let me come to the next verse. Next verse is 31, which says, Ye me matamid nityam anutishthante manavaha shraddhavanto nasuyanto muchyante tepi karmabhihi. Do your duty joyously. That is the culture of your country. See, he says, those men who constantly practice this teaching of mine, full of faith and without cavilling, they too are freed from actions. How do you get free of action? You have till now learned that every action has a reaction, right? And every action will have a reaction. That is the law of the world. Even in science, that is the law, that every action has an equal and opposite reaction, isn't it? So here, what does he say? That they too are freed from actions. Freed from actions means when there is no doership, there can be no reaction of the action. Like when a child unconsciously, he does something wrong or says something wrong, you do not punish the baby because he does not even know what he is doing. There is no purpose, there is no motive attached to what he did, and therefore you do not punish him, right? So there is no reaction to the action. But when an adult with full knowledge, says something wrong to you, then you reply him back. Why? Because he has done it purposely, with the sense of doership, with the sense of I and you. Therefore, he will get a reaction of that. Now, look at this. Gurudev gave an example when he said, teaching of mine full of faith and without cavilling. I'll come to this. He gave this example of a young couple in America whom he had gone to visit, because the wife had just delivered a baby, and in delivering that baby, something went wrong somewhere, so she became a paralytic, waist downwards, for life. For life. Now, when Gurudev went to visit them, that lady said, I want to meet Gurudev alone. So he went and met her. And she said, you know what she said to him? She said, Swamiji, you are the only one my husband will listen to. And I want you to tell him to get married again. Because this is America. We cannot hire help. His job is new. The house needs to run. The little baby needs to be looked after. My husband needs to be looked after. And I am bedridden, and I will need a help to look after me. So we cannot carry on like this at all. So unless he marries again, I am ready to give him up. And I will not interfere in his life at all. But out of love for him, I am saying, please ask him to marry again. Swamiji said, no, no, this is not my job and I can't do it and all. But she was insistent. So Swamiji went out. Look at the love of the lady. Look at the devotion and the sacrifice of the lady. Swamiji went out. This is Nirmama. She minused herself, minused her whole life from the life of her husband and her family, just so that her husband may have an easier time. Swamiji went to the husband and said that, look, I have this to say to you, and this is America. Your job is new. You don't have that much of money also. And this is what your wife is requesting. So why don't you do it just for the sake of everybody? That man was shocked. He said, Swamiji, you are saying this to me? I'm surprised. Does our Indian culture say that? When I married her, I said, I marry you for life. I marry you. We will be together in happiness and sorrow, in death and life, in suffering, disease and death, in everything we are together, isn't it? And that is what I swore on. I have to live by it. And he said, I cannot marry again, no matter whatever is her condition. I will work hard. I will work very, very hard. I will look after the baby myself. I will try do something. There are means and ways. I will probably get an increment. And with that, we will be able to afford some help which can look after the child, which can run my home. But I will not do this to my wife. And that is totally unfair, totally uncultured. And Gurudev said that this couple showed nirmamo, nirahankar, total minusing of me for the sake of the others. Now look at that. That is culture. That is the culture. It is not it's me and my life. I can't ruin my life for this. Why should I? And you walk out. That is not culture. So he said, see, those men who constantly practice, nityam. The word here in the first line is nityam. And anutishtanti also means continuously. So constantly practice this teaching of mine, full of faith and without cavilling. So to practice this teaching, nirmamo nirhankara, yuddhasva vigata jvara, to practice that, what do you have to do? You have to have full faith. As I said, just like a child has faith, complete faith in the parent, just like the student has to be completely tuned to the teacher. Otherwise, he won't learn anything. If he doubts the teacher's capabilities to guide him, he will never ever learn from that teacher. You cannot learn from that teacher. And that is why the attitude of humility, receptibility is advocated, and openness and attunement totally with the teacher is advocated. So he says, full of faith. So whenever you want to achieve something, you have to have faith in what you're doing, and faith in the Lord who's allowing you to do, and without cavilling. Now, without cavilling, cavilling is a word which means constantly finding fault and making fun. A lot of people do this. Hmm? See, a purified mind alone can deserve this teaching. Otherwise, the teaching is there for everybody, right? But only a purified mind deserves this teaching, and only a purified mind benefits by this teaching, right? Now, ye dekho anusuyanta, without cavilling. This is that there is a technique of living which is a technique which has to have faith in the culture, has to have faith in the guide, has to have faith in the words of the teacher. Only then can that knowledge sink in, and only then can that. Now, also, some people understand this as blind faith. It is not blind faith. Hmm? देखो, it is a शिष्य गुरु संवाद. As I have told you, हमारे यहाँ in my previous talks, I've told you that it is always a question and an answer. If the student hasn't understood, he always asks the teacher, and the teacher is morally bound to reply. He is morally bound to reply and answer, even 100th time if the student is asking. So it is never this that you just do what I have told you to. Now, see, the parents have to live it, the teachers have to live it for the students to have that faith. That is one. Okay. Now, the second is without cavilling, also means that you have to have faith to see what you believe in already. If you believe in it fully, you will see it materialize. Like, the best example, see, in your books, it's probably given over here at the bottom. If you have your books on you, it is, this is the quotation from Ravindranath Tagore that Gurudev has given. Faith is the bird that feels the light and sings when the dawn is still dark. That is faith. Beautiful exposition of faith. Bird begins to sing that it is going to be morning. So, with full faith, he feels the light. So, if you have experienced a spiritual bliss even this much, you know there is a lot more waiting. You understand fully well that there is a lot more waiting. So, if this knowledge has helped you even a little bit, have that faith that if you do what Krishna is asking, if you do what Gurudev is teaching, you will be able to reach a huge stock of bliss and beatitude and success only with faith, without cavilling. Those who go on arguing, they don't reach anywhere. Those who are without faith, they don't reach anywhere. And that is why it was said that Gurudev, in fact, has said that those people who try to go on first questioning and arguing before they believe, it is like a swimming teacher, swimming coach. He gives the example that when the swimming coach is telling you what to do and how to do, first he teaches you. Having full faith in his instructions, you go down into the pool and then you begin swimming, right? So, unless you get into the water, you will not be able to swim. Now, when the coach tells you to get into the water and you are afraid, you are saying, no, but I don't know how to swim. Why should I get into the water? you will never learn how to swim. So you have to have faith in the coach and get into the water with that faith and then begin swimming, and you will learn only by living it. Just like I have always said, that children learn from the parents who are living it. When the children see the behavior of the parents, they behave exactly like that, because the children have a faith in the parents. They have this faith in the parents that whatever my parents are doing is the right thing. Whatever my parent is saying is the right thing. And so they behave and do that. Maybe not at that time, but in later years in life, they begin doing exactly as the parents do. And that is why in a country like India, they always ask, which family does he come from? Which family does he belong to? Because family culture, there are certain do's and don'ts. There are noble qualities that are taught in good families, and those qualities the child will imbibe no matter what, because the parents are living it, the grandparents are living it, and he sees it day and night. And so the inner antakaran gets shuddha, and he behaves accordingly, and he behaves like that. Uh, so now when he says that they will be freed, so you can only take back what you have given. Here, with the mind totally free of ego and me and mine, he is freed of the action. And he says that with full faith when he acts, look what he says, that with full faith when he acts in this teaching of mine, when he says mine, it is not this shepherd boy, I have said it again and again. When Krishna says this teaching of mine, you have to understand that it is the teaching coming directly from the Lord. The Hindus do not have prophets. They have avatars. Avatar is the Lord himself, embodied by himself. Not embodied because of desires, not embodied because of karma and all that. Though he takes on the karma, he takes on the karma only to teach us that, see, even I am bound by cause and effect. But otherwise, his body is created by himself. He creates his body himself. That is why it is called an avatar. Avatar means coming down. So the divinity comes down to take form as a human being. Nij Maya, he says, Nij Maya से मैं अपने आप को बनाता हूँ. So he makes it himself, not that he is made and not pushed into the world as you and I. So here, and so he says, wait a minute, sorry. Here's this. Acha. So then here it is that you have taken the bus and you will reach and you will go. See, because don't doubt if you're on Parliament Street and you cannot see the Parliament. Don't doubt that there is no Parliament. Once you are on the street itself, Parliament Street, and you begin walking, you will reach Parliament. Isn't it? So once you are, when you see the Parliament Street, don't you suddenly get the confidence that, oh yeah, now I'll reach Parliament, because the street must be leading up to Parliament, right? Similarly, when you are practicing these values that the Lord is talking about, practicing them with full faith, practicing them without ahankara, nirmamo nirbhutva, then you will reach the goal. Okay, next verse. ये त्वे तदभ्यसूयन्तो नानुतिष्ठन्ति मे मतम् सर्वज्ञानविमूढांस्तान् विद्वे नष्टान् अचेतसः. But those who carp at the teaching and do not practice it, deluded in all knowledge and devoid of discrimination, know them to be doomed for destruction. See, people who carp at the teaching, carp means find fault, complain about it, unreasonably talk about it without understanding it and without going into the depth of them, criticize them. That is carping. So, but those who carp at the teaching and do not practice it, naturally, if the intellect is not convinced, you will never practice. The intellect has to be convinced. Do you notice that when you do something wrong, how the intellect cooks up beautiful excuses for you to do what the vulgar act that you have done? It always makes an excuse. I did it because of this. I stole because I was hungry. I stole food because I was hungry. This is an excuse by the intellect. Similarly, for every wrong action that you do, the intellect has to sanction it before you do it. Similarly, people who are making fun of this knowledge is not ritualism, and this knowledge is not Hinduism. This knowledge is the art of living. But if you make fun of the coach, if you are making fun and deriding the knowledge, you will never gain it. Never gain it. And you will never gain this knowledge, only teaches you how to discriminate between the real and the unreal, the right and the wrong, the good and the bad, and teaches you how to live successfully, efficiently, beautifully, with meaning to your life. So, if you are making fun, then what will you learn? You will learn nothing. Hmm? God has given you a beautiful birthday gift, that is the body, mind, and intellect. But if you do not know how to use it correctly, what will happen to you? Think about it. See, a newborn baby. hmm, Newborn baby in a very rich man's family. Okay. Now, the first birthday of the child, since the father mother can afford a lot, they buy him the most complicated electronic gadget and give it to him. Okay. The birthday gift is very expensive, very beautiful, and can do lots of things. But does the child know how to use it? No. So, what will the child do? The child will throw it, he will pick it up and bite it, he will chew on it, he will bang it on the floor and break it. So, the birthday gift the Lord has given us is beautiful. The body can achieve a lot, the mind and intellect can achieve even much more. But we are like those little children who do not know how to use it. Now, as grown up children, sadhaks are grown up children because they want to learn, they want to know. So once they have learned from the teacher without finding fault, having faith in the teacher that what the teacher is teaching them is discrimination. Without discrimination, the human being is only an animal. Think about it. Isn't discrimination the only thing that differentiates you from an animal? An animal cannot judge between wrong and right. He cannot judge between real and unreal. You, with an intellect that the Lord has given you, are the only one capable of it. So when the Lord teaches you how to discriminate and you don't want to learn it, then you descend to the level of an animal. Gurudev used to say, then it's only a pity that you do not have a tail. So here it is that with full faith, who carp not at the teaching and do not practice it, deluded in all knowledge, who carp at the teaching and do not practice it, deluded in all knowledge and devoid of discrimination, know them to be doomed for destruction because they ruin their own lives. They ruin their lives and the lives of their family and the lives of people around them, because see, agitated mind sends out ripples to the surroundings, and those ripples affect everybody, not only the family but each one you meet in your workaday world. It affects those people, and therefore it is very essential to do this kind of teaching where you are calm, peaceful, quiet, and reach that peace to everybody else. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamadachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.